In this video, we will discuss how Mary I and Philip II of Spain lost Calais to the French. We will explore a brief summary, how it affected Mary and her marriage to Philip, and what Mary said of this great misfortune. Prior to 1558, the Pale of Calais had been English territory since 1347 and the reign of Edward III. It had been the only possession England had in mainland France since Henry VI. But on January 7th, 1558, Queen Mary I's husband, Philip II, wrote to Luis de Carvajal, a governor of Spanish province, to inform him that Calais was under siege and the harbour castle had fallen. Philip instructed him to urgently send the Spanish fleet from the harbour and rejoin the English ships at sea, so the French could not seize their supplies. He added with urgency, "If the English go on requesting you to throw troops into Calais, and you see that this can be done without taking too great a risk or loss of reputation, I will leave the decision to you." But on that day, after 200 years of being English territory, Calais was ultimately surrendered to the French. A townsman of Calais, Jean-Pierre Durix, recounted the event, saying, "On 7th of January at 2 o'clock after midnight, the French entered the castle of Calais by a breach which they had opened in it. The French had entered the castle before the townsmen knew they were there. At about 6 o'clock, it was learnt that an agreement had been reached, and that the town had been surrendered, and all the inhabitants taken prisoner." The loss of Calais was a devastating one for Mary I. It calls to mind the loss of territory that came to be in Henry VI's reign. Since Mary I had married Philip of Spain in 1554, England had become involved with Spain's conflict with France, ruled by Henry II. The French king was deeply concerned about the political situation and the support Spain now had from the English. Philip II managed to receive fair warning that Henry II had set his eye on Calais and intended a surprise attack to reclaim it. This pre-warning allowed Philip to warn Mary and her government, who immediately began the task of assembling troops to dispatch across the Channel. This proved to be a difficult task, considering England was in the midst of an influenza epidemic, and healthy men were suddenly hard to rally and rely on. The Lord Deputy of Calais, Thomas Wentworth, corresponded continually with Philip II and informed him on December 31st, 1557, that French troops were camping a mere 3 leagues from Calais. Philip immediately replied on January 1st to say that he was certain that the troops would attack shortly. Philip mentions Mary in his response to Wentworth. "It is desirable that you should report by special messenger to the Queen, our consort, informing her of everything that you require from that kingdom. If there is anything else we can do to contribute to the defence of Calais and defeat the enemy, we will gladly use our best efforts, for there is nothing of greater importance of interest than those of the Kingdom of England." Letters continued from Wentworth begging for aid and informing Philip of the French troops' advancement. A few days later, on January 3rd, 1558, the English troops, the ones capable of serving their queen, left Dover for Calais, but their passage was barred by French soldiers, who now occupied the beaches. Mary I's efforts were blocked, and any opportunity to aid Calais lay with her husband. 200 of his men attempted to help Wentworth on January 6th, but were unable to enter the Pale of Calais. Beaten back by the French, the English Queen and her king could only wait for the French to seize their territory, as we know they did. Although Leander de Lisle notes, in Tudor, the family story, that Calais had long cost as much to defend as it made in trade. Anna Whitelock has her own summation of Calais' worth in her biography, Mary Tudor, England's first queen, by writing, "As the last remnant of the English claim to the continental monarchy, Calais had a highly symbolic value, arguably outweighing its economic and military importance." We can affirm that Calais was of huge importance, not only for the trade of goods such as wool, but for upholding England's image of power. That image appeared to now shatter in Mary I's hands. And in her book, She-Wolves, the Notorious Queens of England, Elizabeth Norton concludes, "Mary is remembered as the monarch who lost the last vestige of the Angevin Empire." Mary fully understood the significance of this loss, reportedly saying, "When I am dead and opened, you shall find Calais lying in my heart." Certainly, we can say the loss of Calais was a huge regret for Mary I. There was no counter-strike to reclaim it, and Philip deserted Mary soon after, an even deeper blow for the miserable queen. Although she had high hopes when she wed Philip, it was unfruitful in producing children, and their union saw her lose far more than she would ever gain.